got this irony that happened where leaders in Los Angeles self-consciously and ambitiously advertised their city as the city of the future. Well, you have the city of the future and then this encounter with a medieval plague, the Black Death. The plague hit a working class neighborhood very close to downtown on Halloween of 1925. In essence, what happened is, as we found throughout human history, the plague is an opportunistic disease that strikes poor people. It strikes neighborhoods where human populations are densely packed together. But Los Angeles, in its patterns of racial thought and behavior, was very quick to disassociate the common denominator of poverty and replace it with what was assumed to be the common denominator of ethnicity. Leaders in Los Angeles, civic, political, and other leaders, characterized the plague as a Mexican disease, which of course is not true. It's not a Mexican disease, it's a disease. And it can strike anyone, but it strikes people who are living in proximity to one another. There were kin networks of plague transmission, as you might imagine. People in one family were sick, and kin came to minister to them and help them, and the disease was transmitted to them, and plague moves like lightning, that the city tried to arrest. And they tried to arrest it through fairly common tactics, quarantining of the neighborhood. The city embarked upon a remarkably ambitious rat-killing enterprise, a vast destruction of working-class houses and shelters and neighborhoods. There was plague serum in the mid-1920s, but it wasn't available at that time. They couldn't get it to Los Angeles quick enough. The death toll, which was in the end about 40 people, which of course was tragic for those individuals and their family members, was nothing like that which the city might have expected. The Black Death, of course, is a killer, and from the medieval period, a killer of hundreds of thousands. And so leaning against older patterns of racial thought and racial behavior, the city began, through its jurisprudence, through its police forces and firefighting forces and medical officials and civic officials, began an ambitious quarantining effort of Mexicans. So Los Angeles cut the plague off, but they did so in a way that revealed the city's, and in my view, still fairly immature racial attitudes and perspectives. And while it was a successful public health enterprise, the revelations of the plague abatement as an indication that the city had yet to fully embrace what we might call multiculturalism. The city was, even this is only about 80 years ago, the city was adolescent, and it was in many respects still far more closely tied to the behaviors and thoughts of, let's say, the Mexican-American War than it was to what we would like to think of as our enlightened notions about race in the early 21st century.